And every Thursday before Giant home games, we have the pleasure of talking to Super Bowl champion and former Giants great quarterback, now CBS analyst. You can find them on their pregame show every Sunday. That is Phil Simms. And Phil joins us in the Simms Spotlight, which is presented by Bigelow Tea. Grab a mug and tea proudly. Phil, welcome back to the show, man. Hope you and yours are surviving the snow up there.
Well, yeah, we got lucky up here in my part of the area, I guess you would say. We didn't get near, John, what you got. We got about, I'm going to say 5 inches, so it was very fortunate, glad just to keep the mess down. But whatever. I hope you guys are doing well, and you've recovered from last Sunday's game, and we'll talk going forward here. So what's going on?
Yeah. It's playoff weather, Phil. Playoff weather.
Yeah, I look at days like today, and I just go, oh, I'm so glad I'm not going out to practice. It's the worst. Games are one thing, but the practice in cold, windy weather and all that stuff and all the time, week in and week out sometimes, I can remember going, man, well, they built an indoor facility with the New York Giants, and when they built it, Paul?
Yeah.
The year after I left. That's right. So I was a little jealous of that. But so what's going on?
Well, I could tell you, Phil, you're lucky because Joe Judge will bring his team outside no matter what the weather.
Oh,
so
sure.
He doesn't care. But unfortunately, the team is working remotely today. They're not going to have practice, and that's because of the news that hit this morning, where the Giants, unfortunately, found out that offensive coordinator Jason Garrett tested positive for COVID-19, and we found out that Freddie Kitchens is going to call the plays on Sunday night. So bring us through this, because obviously Jason was on Zoom meetings this morning. We just heard from head coach Joe Judge. He said as much. He did the game plan with Joe Judge and his assistants on Monday and Tuesday, but it'll be a different play caller on the headset with Daniel Jones on Sunday. So how does that change things for a quarterback, whoever it ends up being? We'll talk about that too, for Daniel Jones, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I don't think it changes much, really. Freddie Kitchens has called plays before, so that helps. He's been there all year, knows the system, knows how Jason calls plays, knows what to expect, all those type of things. So I just don't see it being a big change where it's going to upset people, like get the quarterback, whoever it is, and just go, oh, I don't know what he's going to do because I'm just not familiar with him. I just don't think that'll be the case. Yeah, it's of course always hurts to lose your coordinator, but I think Freddie Kitchens will be up for the task, and he'll know what to do and how to call the game just because he's been there all year and watched the players play.
Phil, let's address the Daniel Jones situation. We know he's listed with a sprained left ankle. We also know that he's dealing with that right hamstring issue, and that, of course, is a couple of weeks old. He's only had one full practice. That was last Friday, since the initial hamstring injury occurred against Cincinnati. So I guess my question to you is, based on physical limitations of the kinds of injuries that we're talking about, how much would he have to prove to you to want to put him on the field Sunday in this ball game against Cleveland?
A lot. I mean, he really would have to be just dynamic in practice. In other words, I really want to see it. Did he get lucky enough with that hamstring and everything didn't get set back too much? Because I just don't think he can play his game. It was very evident almost from the start, watching the game, the fact that he didn't move. I'm not saying I could tell a difference just watching on TV. I watched it on tape. Sometimes hard to tell. Was a zip on the ball, all that. But, when you're talking about 2 injuries. And we're not talking about being 100% and all that. And it does affect you. You think about it a little bit. You can't be the same person, so you try to make adjustments. Sometimes those are hard because the defense is not going to let you make those adjustments. So I'm not saying the Giants sitting back. Look, they're thinking playoffs. They'd take the chance, whatever. But it didn't work, and he definitely was hindered in the game. And many things. It just wasn't Daniel Jones why they lost the Arizona Cardinals. There's a list. I got a list of 15 things here, and it was a big setback, I think, for the Giants. Not the fact that they lost, but it's just the fact that they really never. I felt like they were competitive in the game, where you thought, oh, they can turn this around here somewhere in the second half and win this game. It just they got dominated by the Arizona Cardinals.
If I can follow up, Phil, and I agree with you, there was a litany of things that went wrong the other day. It was a total snowball from the very first series against Arizona. But from what you saw of Colt McCoy the previous week against Seattle, if the Giants are able to get their game plan implemented and at least they're competitive and doing the kinds of things that they have to do aside from the quarterback, what were your impressions of what McCoy did against the Seahawks and your thoughts about how he could move forward against the Browns?
Well, I thought he played really well, for a backup quarterback, and I don't mean to disparagingly. I don't mean it that way. I thought he did his job. He was very conscious of the score of the game, knowing who he was playing, and just kind of managing the game that way, and then making a few plays, a few throws, and I thought it was very good. I think the fact that Colt McCoy is healthy and all that, it keeps his head clear. He's had some action. So, he won't be the same guy. You would expect him to be a little freer and actually better because now he has confidence that he's led the team to a victory against a good Seattle team out there. Now, going against Cleveland, look, there's plays to be made. They are a very good pass rushing team, but the defense by a whole, you can run the ball, I think, on Cleveland. I don't care what the numbers say. I watch them every week and just go, that was what really worries me about them as I see them. They have explosion on their offense, but you can throw it. If you can protect the quarterback even decently, you can move the ball against this Cleveland defense, which we've seen this year.
Phil, I talked to Rodney Harrison, who has the pregame show on NBC earlier today for our Giants Huddle podcast, and I asked him about those two edge guys, right, Olivier Vernon and Myles Garrett on their defense. And he said, look, and he saw it last week against Baltimore, he thought that Baltimore's offensive line, when they ran the ball right at him, manhandled Myles Garrett a little bit, and he thinks that's what you have to do. Is that your read on it, too, how you try to neutralize those two defensive ends?
Yes, absolutely. Olivier Vernon's undersized. Myles Garrett is not that he's undersized, but he's not what I call a really he's long, tall, great pass rusher, but, he's trim, and his game is about speed. The guy that's really played really well for him is inside is Sheldon Richardson.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been terrific this year. What a great pickup and to go along with the other ones. But, yeah, run the ball straight at them. The teams can do that. You saw Baltimore do it. Baltimore had a few really neat running plays against Cleveland. Cleveland really never adjusted. And I say this, some of the things they did, the Giants, I've seen, something that resembles what Baltimore was doing, but that they have the linemen. Colt McCoy is mobile enough where you can use Colt McCoy in the running game, I think, just because of what we saw from Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. So, really interesting matchup there. I thought really not to, disappointed in the Giants' offensive line, just where I thought, man, they're really moving forward. I was really excited about it, all that. And then just like I said, a big setback in many ways last week by a few of the players and just the team overall.
Yeah, Phil, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to follow up on that point, and this is kind of a question that we got from the fans. They wanted to ask a question about Jason Garrett, which really isn't relevant now. So I'm going to kind of make a left-hand turn here, and can I ask it to you this way? We
Sure.
saw last week what happens when the Giants get out of their formula, right, in terms of their offense. How if they don't play with the lead and they can't run the ball, and the other team then knows they're going to pass, and then the offensive line falls apart.
Right.
So is there a way here for the Giants to maybe open up this offense a little bit? And when I say open up, I just mean take a few more shots down the field, get the ball into guys' hands while they're on the move to create some more chunk plays while not exposing that offensive line so you have an 8-sack performance like the Cardinals had last Sunday.
Well, it's all good thinking, but they are what they are. Yeah, they play well from ahead and do all these things because now they can dictate. So
Right.
They're not good enough to overcome some of those factors, and that's just the way it is, and that's not going to change really this year because it's too late, and the personnel is what it is. Terrible field position last week, which really hurt an offense when you're trying to maybe get some even easy scores or easy positions to do it. I thought the receivers had a really hard time getting open and getting away.
No separation.
So you're saying this, throw the receivers and catch them on the run and everything. Well, if they can't separate, then we're not going to see these kind of plays that you want. And then throwing downfield, if they can't separate going across the field, why are they going to separate going down the field? So, it's the same thing. He threw 2 passes Golden Tate didn't win the contested catch the first time. He won it the second time. But, it just all I can say is Arizona was all over the Giant receivers in the game just to be really just to put it in a big package or whatever. The Giants really struggled getting open. Daniel Jones, we've already said, wasn't able to run. That might have helped to give you some easy completions. Moving of the quarterback is such a big deal. And I've said this so many times about Daniel Jones, but you don't have to be fast. If you just move out of the pocket or step up in the pocket and move, receivers in this league come open on every team. And because they get to reroute or do whatever, and the defender, it's impossible for them to really reroute and stay with these guys. So, that doesn't happen as much with the Giants as we probably like. Well, that's because the rush is just really too close to the quarterback to give him an opportunity to have those decisions to make so he can move and then make something happen on the run.
Phil, that's a great stepping point to go over to the other side of the ball, because even though the Browns are a run-heavy team with Chubb and Hunt, there's no question that Baker Mayfield is able to buy some time and escape a lot of pressure and then make throws. And, at times he looks very deadly. At other times, that inconsistency really shows up.
Well, he's been inconsistent in some really, really tough conditions and all that. When I don't do every team and watch them every week, but Cleveland's Cleveland's a national team. The Browns, Baker Mayfield, whatever. But so I watch him a lot and everything. And listen, he's throwing the ball much better this year. He's not overthrowing, which he did last year, got him in all kinds of trouble. I mean, Baker, how hard do you have to throw the ball? I mean, come on.
Yeah, you're right.
Hey, did you see the throw at the end of the game or I can't remember. He threw it 70 yards.
Yeah.
Of course, he had a running start, and he was throwing the javelin, but he threw it out of the back of the end zone, which was, really impressive. But he's quicker than you think. That's what he is. His first step or two is very quick. They love to get him outside the pocket just because they run it so well. He gets out there easily. The Giants, even last week, they struggled against Kyler Murray at times, of course, but I thought their defense overall was still very disciplined, stayed in position, but the mobile quarterback and just talent and all that kind of did them in a little bit. Kyler Murray, he doesn't throw it unless he thinks they're wide open. Otherwise, he moves. He made a great play for the touchdown throw in the back of the end zone by backpedaling and things like that. So they'll have some of those problems or things to look at this week. And Cleveland has got their team down. They know what they are in defense. They surely know what they are in offense. And they've made great strides. Their offensive line is really playing well. They're great run blockers. And, they're pretty good at the pass blocking, too, because the run game is so powerful. When Baker gets space and time, which he does on dropbacks and the boots, especially in the last 3-4 games, look, he's dangerous because he's looking for big plays. He's not looking to check it down. He's looking to, for the chunk plays, and it's just going to be something the Giants, that's probably the number one thing, to me, they got to do, is don't let Baker get out of the pocket too much and fire the ball down the field and have these 2 or 3 play drives.
Yeah, and Phil, and much like the Giants, everything the Browns do on offense, and you referenced this, is their run game. They brought that run game over from Minnesota. They run that outside zone. They have 2 excellent running backs with 2 different skill sets. But I want to start with Nick Chubb, and then you can take it wherever you want, because not enough people mention this guy with, the Dalvin Cooks and the Derrick Henry. But the Giants defenders better put their big boy pants on in this game if they want to tackle this dude, because he will run through you, and it's not just like a 5-yard gain then either. This is like a 60-yard run after he breaks like 4 tackles. He is really, really good.
Well, yes, he is. And listen, Kareem Hunt is not much different than him, really. I mean, everybody thinks they have such really different styles. Kareem Hunt is bigger than he was in Kansas City. He runs with more power than he did there. And, of course, he's running on different offense in the run game. Their run game has got a little more – it's just not one-sided. It's not, we're running this one play that Mike Shanahan made famous, the zone, and, and let's just run it every play. No, they do more than that. And Nick Chubb, when you guys are going to be there or you watch the game, just look at his legs.
No, they're tree trunks. They're tree trunks.
I would hit his ankles. I wouldn't even think about hitting him anywhere else. And this is a true story. I don't know if I'd said this, but I watched him Oh, what game was it? Where were they playing? They had the white uniforms on. They were down in Jacksonville. And he made a cut to the left. It was a great cut. Going, boom, there's the hole, shoots through it. And they had those old brown uniforms on, the all whites with the everything.
Yeah.
And, of course, I grew up as a Browns fan in Louisville, Kentucky. That was the local team for Louisville then. There was no Cincinnati Bengals. So I was a big Jim Brown fan. And there he is, running down Nick Chubb. And I looked and I went, oh, my God, he looks like Jim Brown.
Wow.
And I swear, the look, the move, that leg movement, whatever. And I just kind of laughed. I go, wow, what a flashback of being young and watching the Cleveland Browns and Jim Brown. So
you just gave Paul Dottino some agita,
He is the real
by the
deal,
way.
and you made a great point. He should be mentioned in the same name as those other running backs.
Paul, you all right over there?
I just had to pick myself up off the floor. but that's okay, Phil, because I'm going to call up Sam Huff to play this weekend.
Well, what do you mean? Why'd you pick yourself? Oh, because I compared him to Jim Brown?
I mean, that's pretty high compliment right there.
Well, I'm not saying he is. I think Jim Brown, I've said it. I of course, I'm biased. I think he's the greatest player ever. So, but you'll see. It really is. He is a outstanding running back. I even say this: the New England Patriots took Sony Michel. They were trying to decide two Georgia running backs. And look at the difference now. Nick Chubb compared poor Sony Michel, of course, has had injury problems and all that. So, but Nick Chubb is really we talk about we used to Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, this and that. It's Nick Chubb, it's the running back, it's the offensive lines, it's their tight ends, and then of course Jarvis Landry, the main key to their passing game on the outside. But a really good offense. Try to contain it, and the Giants. They won't be able probably to play so conservative on offense. They'll probably have to, reach out there and start not taking chances, but be a little aggressive and maybe catch Cleveland off guard a little bit, because Cleveland just got done with an extremely emotional game. And it's there. They think they're going to win it. They're whatever. You lose those kind of games, you got to look out the next week that you don't come out flat, especially against a team that has a losing record. So it'll be interesting to see.
Phil, there's one often overlooked aspect to this game that I think has to be in the Giants' favor for them to really have a good shot here, and that is they've been so consistent on special teams through the first 10 weeks of the season, and then the last 3 weeks they have totally fallen apart. Now, understanding what Joe Judge is and his mission going into the year and how good they were earlier, how surprised were you at the fact that unit really crumbled? And personally, I look at the Browns special teams, and that's been a real weakness for them. I think the Giants have to win that third of the game to have a chance.
It's really interesting you say that, and I repeat myself sometimes because I talk a lot about football, but Joe Judge talked more to Bill Belichick before games than any coach I've ever seen. They'd always stand near the goal line. They'd be talking and go, well, how many situations are they going over about special teams? And, I mean, they were going down to the, whatever. They were talking about what to do in the Super Bowl against the Rams because the roof was open and there was like a 3-mile-an-hour wind going down the field. Should we kick off? Should we take the ball? What should we do? And they had like a 5-minute discussion on this thing with the officials. But I learned this from Bill Parcells when he went to the Jets. I just remember he just said, to fix the team, the first thing we're going to do, we're going to be really good on special teams. That's what we're going to do first because, we're not going to lose games there. We're going to do it other ways. And so the Giants kind of in that same position. They need their special teams to be really good. I know they focus on it a great deal, and that has got to set up the whole team. And it's always overlooked. It's overlooked by us on TV because of time limitations, whatever. But you just can't give away field position or points or things like that. You need to win those battles. And what did I hear when the Rams were playing New England? I guess Bill Belichick told the announcers, look, we have a big edge in special teams. We got to take advantage of it. And, you look back at that game, they did not. So they had no chance to win just because they knew that was their ace in the hole to get it done. And the same thing holds true for the Giants.
Final question, Phil, before we let you go. Give me your handicapper perspective on the NFC East here with 3 games to go. Washington obviously in the driver's seat, but the Giants and even Philadelphia not that far behind.
No, I tell you, the just watching the Eagles, I did get a chance to watch all the teams. Watching the Eagles play, their offense and defensive lines were really, really good. They played extremely safe, kind of on both sides of the ball. But when your offense and defensive line are dominating, which they did, against the New Orleans Saints, I just wonder, we'll talk a lot. Did the Saints know that Jalen Hurts could run? I mean, my gosh. Just Jalen, I think I'll just keep it and roll out here to the left and just keep running and trotting for a 20-yard gain. And it was really funny. I'm not going to get into names, but somebody was responsible a couple times for letting him get outside the pocket on just the simple zone read. They've got it. He gets outside, and I go, oh, my, that's the third time. Well, I didn't see him for 2 quarters. And so the player that let him outside sat on the bench because you can only take so much of that. But but I was really overall really impressed with the Eagles on both sides of the ball. So the whole thing is going to be interesting to see how it comes down the stretch. Washington, all they got to do last week is not turn it over on the other side, but they did. The 49ers, and Washington took advantage of it. Their defensive front played to that. And take no chances as a quarterback. Know who you are. You're going to win it ugly, you hope. Low scoring. All that favors the Washington football team when you talk about them.
Phil, thank you so much. We're not going to talk to you until after the holidays. So have a Merry Christmas. Have a great holiday. And we're going to talk to you before the Giants' final regular season game against the Dallas Cowboys.
All right, guys. Thank you. All right,
Merry
next
Christmas,
time we
man.
talk, it's going to be in great spirits because we're going to talk about good things.
Yes,
There you go.
absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, Phil.
All right,
Ho, ho,
thank you
ho.
both.